Welcome, welcome, welcome. Excited about another episode here of the Black Wealth Experience podcast. And today I have Stephen Tillman, who's going to come on and talk to us about lending and everything that goes into lending. And, I'm a lender as well, and he's a lender, and we do this together because what we know is the more people that we get into houses, the better off we are as a community. And so for both of us, yes, we would both love your business and we both love to be able to do stuff, but more importantly, we need you in a house. And that's what's the most important thing is we can get you into a house. So we're having a Black Wealth Housing Summit. It's on June 19th from 5:30, 7:30. The place is going to be Cross Purpose, which is on the corner of Martin Luther King and Colorado Boulevard. If you're familiar with the AME Church that sits on that corner, they share the parking lot with Cross Purpose. We're going to feed you dinner. We are going to make sure that we connect you with a real estate agent, with a lender, with a credit repair person, with a financial advisor, with insurance. We want to make sure that you have a plan. When you walk out of that meeting, you're not going to have a detailed, this is what I do tomorrow plan, but you will have the beginnings of a step-by-step plan, whether it's going to be you're ready right now, whether it's going to be you're ready in 6 months, a year, for some of you, maybe even 2 years, but we're going to put a plan together that will walk you through exactly what you need to do to get a home, because we understand how important home ownership is. Whose mortgage are you paying? Let me say it again. Whose mortgage are you paying? Every time I do this, I talk about if you're paying $2,000 a month in rent, you do that for 1 year, that's $24,000 that you're paying for rent. You do that for 10 years, now you've paid $240,000 for that unit. If it's an apartment unit and you started 10 years ago, pretty much I can guarantee you've probably paid for that unit. If it's a house, maybe not. Say it's a house is $500, you paid for half of that house for whoever that landlord is. And I'm not saying renting's bad, because it needs to be done sometimes. But home ownership is where personal wealth starts, where generational wealth starts, and where you change the trajectory of your family. And so I want to make sure that you get there. Again, Cross Purpose, 5:30, 7:30, June 19th, 2023. If you're listening to this afterwards, if you are listening to this afterwards, connect with both of us, either one of us. We will get you started on this plan just as well. If you go to the blackwealthexperience.org, the blackwealthexperience.org, and you type RSVP, that's how you get into it. So here we go. We have Stephen Tillman, who works in this space and has been working in this space for many, many years. He understands lending. He understands loans. I'm going to first have him tell you how to get a hold of him, then his story about how he gets into it. And then we're going to really chop it up about, some of the belief systems that we have around lending that we need to negate, some of the things that you need to do in order to get going, because this is a partnership with you and us. This isn't, you call up Steve or you call up Brian and say, give me a loan, and all of a sudden you have a loan. We're going to ask you for some things. You're going to have to do some things, in order to do that. You're going to have to provide us with documentation to be able to do it. So, Stephen, go ahead and give your information. How do we get in contact with you? Best way ever.
Well, I appreciate you for putting this on. This housing summit is going to be well received and well needed. So I definitely am happy to participate. My name is Stephen Tillman. I work with Supreme Lending. We're located downtown Denver, 370 17th Street. I know nowadays people don't show up in offices anymore, but I'm there every day if you'd like to show up. But the easiest way to get in touch with me is just my cell phone. Send me a call or give me a call or send me a text. That's area code 469-853-0048. Or you can send me an email at steven.tillman@supremelending.com. That's Steven, Steven, Tillman, T as in Tom, ILGHMAN, @supremelending.com. From there, we can direct you and help you in any way. Most people really just start with sending me a text or a phone call, and we have an informal conversation to get to where we need to get to, which is eventually collecting a bunch of documentation and things of that nature. So absolutely, that's the easiest way to get in touch with me.
So how'd you get started in this business? And I guess what's your favorite part to doing this?
Well, I got started about, 25 years ago now. And I really got started because I was coming right out of college. I wasn't even finished with college, actually, and was interested in purchasing a house, mainly because one of my best friends had purchased a house. I wasn't even doing it for the right reason. I was doing it to impress a girl. In reality, I went and applied for the mortgage, and the guy didn't even call me back. I called him several times, and he finally picked up and basically got off the phone with me very quickly. I was bartending at the time, and so that guy eventually showed back up in the bar that I bartended. So if he wanted a drink from me, he was going to explain to me why he never called me back. So long story short, he told me that my credit was terrible, I was a terrible human, and all of these wonderful things. So I really got into the industry because I saw an opportunity, to help myself. So I started learning about this industry. And then the more that I learned, I got into it because I saw a need. There is a part of our community that's underserved, that is left without the information that they need, the education that they need, and simply somebody taking the time to answer their questions. That guy could have spent 5 minutes telling me what to do on my credit. At 26, I could barely spell credit, let alone what I needed to do to improve it. So I really got in from that standpoint, determined to do this differently and to speak to people wherever they were. So long answer short, I got into it because I wanted to help people, starting with myself. And then I recognized there was a deficiency of people that looked like me working in this space. And so 25 years later, I'm still marching down the street with my one drum, saving one homeowner at a time.
Hey, I love it. So on the lending side, and so we have the real estate side. So you know, for some people, they go meet with the real estate agent first. I guess our preference would be to meet with us first, so that the real estate agent isn't taking you all over the place where you don't belong,
right?
Or taking you places. But if you happen to do that, then you come to us. And I think there's some myths that go hand in hand with what people believe. I did one of these podcasts. Her name was Median Holmes, and she was talking about, she had a number in her head that she had to have for a down payment before she could ever buy a house. And it took 20 years before she realized that number was just something that she made up, that she had to have in order to be able to purchase a home. So I think the first myth is at 20%. What would you say about, the 20% down and how it's kind of infiltrated our community in this belief system of I have to have 20% down? What would you say to that?
Well, it's a very common belief system. I'll be unequivocal about it. It's wrong. You do not need 20% down to purchase a house. There are a lot of programs out there designed to help homeowners get into homes for much lower. But there is a very common belief system out there. I was on a podcast earlier today with a Freddie Mac representative, and she speaks all over the country, specifically to African American and Hispanic homeownership groups trying to increase those numbers. And she said it's the number one myth she hears, and she can't believe that in 2023, people still hold on to that belief. But I think it really, Brian, to be a shorter answer, it results from fear. A lot of us are scared. We have not had perfect credit throughout our lifetimes. We have not had a perfect job history. Many things have happened. And so we get scared and we get in our own heads and we come up with these excuses as to why we can't move forward. So I need to save my 20% before I even call a lender. And then you call that lender 20 years after you've been saving and realize that you could have bought a house 20 years ago with the money that you had in your sock drawer. So there really are a lot of programs out there, and that's really going to be the benefit of this Wealth Homeownership Summit that I'm glad you're putting on, because we really have to continually dispel this rumor. I am closing a lady today at 3:00 that we have been working with for 8 months. We worked on her credit. We worked on finding the right house. We worked on finding a way that she could afford the house and not only get in it, but sustain it. She is bringing $2,000 to closing. That is less than most of us are paying in rent. And if we really had to get strategic, I assume we could have had this closing on the 1st. So instead of paying rent, she could have bought money to closing, ended her lease, and moved forward into her house. So there's a lot of tactics and goals out there, and I'm happy that you're doing this to highlight some of those things.
Yeah, there's so many. And on this podcast, we've talked to many of the DPAs, or the down payment assistant folks, on different programs that they have, whether they, I think First Bank, you can get up to almost $50,000 in
Yep.
a couple of programs that they have
Yep.
to be able to purchase a home. And, there's other ones where there's grants. I talked to the Mercy not too long ago
Mhm.
at the ICU project.
Yep.
And, she was saying we have $10,000 that can be used for, I think she said you can use it for a down payment. You can use it for closing costs. Or if you found a way to get maybe a DPA program out, that you can use it for moving expenses or, refurbishing or different things after the loan's actually done. So there's ways to get money right now, I think. And, Steve, you might be able to expand on that because you probably
Yep.
do a lot more of these DPAs than I do. But, how much money is really out there?
I mean, it's staggering.
Mhm.
You just hit on that. Some of these programs can get you up to $50,000. And so it's really about, all that starts from sitting down and talking to your lender and going through the specific programs that benefit you. I did a home loan for a young lady that closed in April of 2023, and we used the Project ICU grant. She was able to use that money to buy down her interest rate because Project ICU was interested in helping women be sustainable. So while she had the money to get into the home, she had been able to get a gift from her father and get that money for closing costs. She still wasn't comfortable with where that payment was. So we were able to layer the Project ICU to lower that payment permanently to make sure that she could stay in that house and still save for her son's college and still eat and still do all the things that we need to do. So there are dozens of programs out there. Metro DPA has a social equity program that I'm signed up to do. So without going into the weeds, if you could verify that you or your family members were displaced or redlined during certain periods of time, there's an additional $25,000 that program gives you. They have just reduced the documentation on that, so it's actually a realistic program now. Last year, you didn't hear me talk about it because I didn't know how to find a deed from 1938 from your grandmother.
That said, no Negro can have this home, right?
Exactly. And so now that the program is made to kind of work with us where we are, and the documentation has been reduced, it's a program that we're going to see used a lot more and more popular. They also have some programs that are not just designed for social equity, but 4% down program, 4% in assistance to help you get into homes. I sit on CHAFA's board, so we do quite a bit of CHAFA, the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. So really, there's a lot of stuff out there. Metro DPA has programs that go up to $189,000 in income. So a lot of people decide, well, I make this good income, I can get into the house, but I'm having trouble saving, just like we all are, because yesterday eggs cost 30 cents, now they cost $9. Yesterday gas was $3 a gallon, now it's $5 a gallon. School uniforms and all these things that are just exploding in cost. So we find ourselves oftentimes challenged by various different methods, but it's really just about sitting down or coming to the Black Wealth Experience and talking to somebody hand in hand, face to face, to figure out a solution for you, because there is a solution for everybody.
Absolutely. So I got 5 of these myths that we want to talk about today.
Okay.
The other one is this 700 FICO score. I have to have a 700 FICO score or 680 and above FICO score in order to get a house. Go ahead and take that one, because that one is huge.
So the simple answer is no, you don't. They pay underwriters a lot of money to tell you no. My goal is to stop getting my clients to tell themselves no. Let's go through the process. Let's learn. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's do all this so that we can figure out. I can go down to a 580 credit score and help you get into a house. You don't have to have paid anybody on time in life to have a 580 credit score.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Let's just be honest, So, and I don't mean that to be facetious, but I say that because there's very few people in this world that have $100,000 sitting in the bank in disposable income, and they wake up and they look at their bill from Capital One credit card and they owe $300, and they're like, I'm not going to pay that bill today. I don't feel like paying it. Forget them. Most of the time when we are late or doing damage to our credit, it's because something in life has happened. Your child got sick, you had a car wreck, you lost your job, and you may have missed a payment throughout life, and that caused your credit score to drop.
Yeah.
But like I said, most people are not just laying around like, I got all this money, but I'm not paying any of my bills. I'm not doing anything. Life happens, and that's why your credit has been damaged or lowered. So I always imperatively beg people, don't make that decision yourself. Just call me. You don't need a 700 credit score. To get to most of those down payment assistance programs that we mentioned, you do need a slightly higher credit score, but it's not anything out of the realm of possibility. You need a 620 credit score to get to the vast majority of these programs. And those that are not at 620 are at 640. None of those are what we would identify as perfect credit or hard to obtain credit. And frankly, it doesn't matter to me where you start. If you call me and you've got a 430 credit score, I'm still going to call you back. We're going to sit down and I'm going to start by giving you tips and basic things of here are some specific things that you can do within your credit profile to get from this 430 to a 530, from this 530 to a 620. And once we've gotten to the target score, then we're going to help you get into a home loan. But it doesn't matter where you start at. You just have to start. Some people's starting line is behind other people's starting line, but the finish line's all in the same place. And so we're going to get you there. So don't talk yourself out of that.
Absolutely. And when we think about this, people say, well, why would they do that? Why would they give me, a home if I don't have 20% down or I don't have this high FICO score? And the reality is the banks actually understand that a house is one of the best investments that they can help you with. One is you can't take it with you. So you're not going to put it on a truck and take it with you and hide from them from the house. So they know you're most likely going to make that payment because you got to live somewhere. But it opens up a whole bunch of doors in their mind to get you to use other types of credit, to get you to use other types of things, because they know you're stable enough to be in there. So they're willing to take the hit on you're not perfect right now, knowing that you're going to probably be with them for years and years and years and years, and they're going to make money. The bottom line is they're going to make money on you. That's and right. So they're willing to do these types of things. And so what we're saying is take advantage of that. Right now there's no better time right now. So which brings me to that next myth is there's no houses. I can't possibly buy in the Denver metro area where we all live because there's no houses that are available in the price range that I want to buy it at. What would you say to that?
There is a challenge in inventory right now, but frankly, I work with dozens of clients every month. Somehow, some way, they're all finding houses. Now, there was a time when maybe you'd go out for one weekend, you'd see 30 houses, sleep on it, make a decision, and you're just choosing from one of 30. I do think with our inventory shortages, and it doesn't necessarily matter, they're heightened in Denver and the county surrounding Denver, but it doesn't matter where you're watching this video at. There's a shortage in housing from California to Ohio to Maryland. So the reality, I think that what you do is you get serious about sitting down with your lender first and getting your financing in place. That way you've got your firing ammo, you've got your ducks in a row, and you can go out. There's plenty of houses that are on the market right now. There's people still doing open houses. There's people still listing houses every day. Are they coming in the droves that they would have been coming in maybe in 2012? No, but that doesn't mean that there are no houses out there for you, because I always hear this myth and people are like, there's no houses for me to go look at. And then I always sit back and I kind of give them a smart aleck answer because I'm trying to get them to think, well, how many houses are you going to buy? I'm going to buy one today. Hey, guess what? There are more than one house on the market right now. Well, that invalidates your answer of there's no houses because you're only going to buy one house. And so is it going to be harder to find the specific house that you want? Maybe depending on your criteria, maybe depending on what you have to negotiate. Do you need help from the seller in getting into the house? Do you need time to get your stuff in a row in order to get into the house? All of those factors come into play when you're looking for a house. But what I try to do with all my clients is give them the best chance that they possibly can. And that's by getting all of their documentation done up front. So when you're out with your realtor and that realtor does find that one house that you like, and in this shortage of inventory market, there may be two families that like that house. Well, you need to be in a position for your realtor to be able to say, hey, they've already verified everything. They sat down with Brian last week. They gave him all the paperwork. They gave him everything he needs. And then I make a call for every one of my clients to the listing agent to put in a good word. And it doesn't guarantee that we're going to get that house, but it does give you a leg up so that I can tell that listing agent, hey, we're not going to be calling you 2 weeks from now asking for more time. We've already verified their funds to close, whether it be a down payment assistance program or money from your 401k is irrelevant. But I think that rumor is exactly that. It's a rumor, because once you actually get out and you start looking, you're going to find houses that you like, and you're only going to buy one. I closed on my house on May 1st.
Well, and you're only going to buy one right now, right? Because the goal is, for most of us, 95, 70, 99%, I'm making up the percentage here, but this isn't your forever house that you're going to live in forever. Right. And in most cases, when we're doing this, it's going to, you're going to say, hey, I like this, or you're going to buy an investment property, you're going to buy another property. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have choices, but we got to get you in a house. So here's the next one. Steve, you're going to love this one, because I know you hear this probably even more than I hear this. Rate. I have to have this rate that's going to be below 4%, or I'm not going to be able to get, it just has to be, because the rate is the number one thing that I have to worry about in this whole process. What's your thoughts?
I hear it a lot, and even you hear it a lot when rates are low. But, right now, rates are not what we would call low. Historically, yes, they are low, but we've been spoiled over the last decade with rates in the 2s and 3s. And so we've conditioned our minds to believe that if this rate is above this arbitrary number, then I'm not going to buy. Well, the thing that I challenge most of the times that I hear this, it's usually from somebody that's renting. And I ask them, what are you paying right now? What's your rate right now in renting? Sometimes I get a smart aleck answer. Sometimes I get zero. And I usually respond, well, it definitely has a zero in it. But the rate that you're paying right now is 100%. Mm-hmm. Because everything that you are paying is going directly to pay off the landlord's mortgage. Mm-hmm. You are getting no equity. You're getting no return on that. Maybe the landlord sends you a nice Christmas card and a cheese basket at Christmas. Most of us don't even get that.
No.
So in reality, if somebody is concerned about a rate and they're renting, that's really strange to me, because that indicates to me that they're focused on the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. The reason I say that is because nobody writes an interest rate on their check. When you are writing your rent and you write that $2,000 a month to Slumlord Incorporated, you're not writing your 100% interest rate on that check. You're simply writing a dollar amount that leaves your checking account. The same thing is true when you purchase a mortgage. You're focused on, what do I pay monthly? Nobody is really doing a 30-year amortization in their bathroom every month, trying to figure out, well, I'm paying this interest and this much is going to principal. No, we just pay. So the reality is I push back and I challenge people to really let them know that whatever you do purchasing a house, you will always win out over renting. So if you move from your 100% rental rate to a 7% mortgage rate, you just saved yourself 93%. Mm-hmm. Everything that you pay on a mortgage, if you're in, now, I'm not a tax advisor, so don't take this as tax advice, but for most of us, everything that we pay on a mortgage, that interest rate is tax deductible. So it is a benefit to us on our income taxes every year. So there's a lot of ways to look at this, but in the end, I think that no matter what rates are doing, you are always better off to purchase than you are to buy. And reality, you hear this a lot right now, find the house that you love and date the rate. You are not going to be in this loan forever. But now is a great opportunity to be able to go out and find a house and negotiate a little bit more with the seller to get some of your closing costs paid, to get some of the repairs on the house done, knowing that you're going to have a short-term higher rate than we would all like. So my reality is really just trying to get people to focus on what you're actually paying every month. Because every month when you write that check, there's no interest rate written on there. You're not writing 8%. You're not writing 7%. You're writing whatever number is coming out of your checking account. And that's really what we have to focus on, is finding a house that you can live in, grow, build, and keep your family safe, while also not robbing Peter to pay Paul to pay your mortgage.
Yeah, I love what you say in there, is date your rate, because I have this conversation, as you do, a lot, where they go, well, you show them the 30-year amortization schedule, and they say, well, that means I'm going to pay $200,000 in interest over the life of this loan. And the reality is, I'm still looking for the person, there's a couple of people, I guess I used to know, but like in this day and age, that actually had a loan for 30 years, exact same loan that they started with for the
Yep.
whole 30 years, because they don't, because you're probably going to refinance, or you're going to get another home, or you're going to step up, you're going to do something where that loan's going to be paid off. So you kind of think of it as short term. So in your mind, you can't think that I'm going to pay $200,000 of interest on this. But you would, if you stayed in the apartment for 10 years, you're going to pay $240,000 to get nothing back for it, right?
Exactly.
And the other side on the rate thing that I always, even though it's a little bit, where we're not used to right now, and say, well, I'm going to wait till it goes down. Well, okay, that's a good thought. You're going to wait till it goes down, but how much are you paying in your rent right now while you're waiting?
Correct.
And if we get in now and interest rates go down, then we refinance when they go down, and then we get it there. But if you get in now and interest rates go up, we might have put you out of the house that you want because you waited for those, waiting for this to go down, and it fluctuates. So get in where you can right now. Now, this might not mean you're going to go live at the home of your dreams. You're out there in Southeast Aurora or something where they got the $1 million homes, or I saw some, even in Aurora, off of Havana Street and back in the corner there, where there's some really nice houses that you may have to step up to, and I know some of you are paying $3,000 and $4,000 a month in rent, in some of these nicer neighborhoods, but you need to get something where you can start making it work for you. The last, so I told you I have 5 of these myths. Is this myth that it's going to cost me more when I get into my home because now I'm responsible for the repairs. So if the water heater goes out, then I got to pay for the water heater. If the help comes down, then I got to figure out how to get the roof. Or if I have to paint, I'm going to have to paint. What would you say to not want to buy a house because of all these things that a house costs you as a homeowner?
Well, there's nothing in this world that's free if we haven't figured that out yet. And so I get that a lot, and people will be like, well, in my apartment, I just call the maintenance man and they come and fix that. And I said, but you do know that's not free, right? Mm-hmm. Because the company that you're leasing from is tracking everything that maintenance man is doing in your house. And every year, they're going to come back and raise your rent. Mm-hmm. They're going to make up. And if you were that hypochondriac homeowner that called the maintenance man 450 times every time a hair went down the drain, then I suspect that you'd notice that your rent gets raised a little bit higher than your neighbor's rent. So it's all a calculation. It's all being paid for. There's nothing in this world that's free. We all have to pay to live somewhere. Even people that have paid off their house that's free and clear, you still pay taxes. You still have homeowner's insurance on your house to protect your house. So regardless, you are going to pay to live somewhere. So I really just think of it as cost of ownership. But one of the benefits that comes with cost of ownership is freedom. I have the right to do whatever I want to do in my house without getting permission. If I decide I want to paint this wall blue so the fake fish floating behind me looks like he's swimming, I don't have to go and get permission from my landlord, who's then going to charge me an upcharge to do that. If I want to bring my dog into my house, I'm not paying an extra $50 a month for pet rent, which I've never figured out what that is. But there's one way or the other, renting, they're going to get you. You're going to end up paying for it. Now, there's a lot of savvy ways to protect yourself as a homeowner. A lot of things that are major in homes are already protected by homeowners insurance. That's the point of having it. So it has been raining nonstop in Denver the last couple of weeks. We've had hailstorms, it seems like, every day. At some point, whenever it dries out, I expect to go up and look at my roof and be like, oh, that looks amazing. We are going to have to redo that. While that is an expense, that's something that is paid for by my homeowner's insurance. A lot of people go and get home warranties, which are things that protect them, and especially new homeowners, because you can have unexpected expenses that you're not prepared for. But a home warranty is something that in many instances, you're just going to pay a small deductible, and a company is going to come out and fix your water heater or fix your refrigerator or things that you may have been accustomed to being taken care of in maintenance, by maintenance in your rental situation. But long story short, no matter what, nobody is going to live for free. And there are things that we're going to deal with, whether you're renting a house from a landlord. You call the landlord every month, 12 months on the year. That landlord has a checkbook and a ledger and a receipt. And when they come back to re-sign your lease, that will be accounted for. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. it's better to pay for it for yourself and allow yourself to get repaid. Because at some point, you're going to have some months where nothing goes wrong, nothing breaks, and nothing is terrible, and you really enjoy your house. And then you turn around and you sell it and you realize, wow, I just got this 6-figure check and all I've been doing is living. I've been taking my kids to school every morning. I've been shoveling snow. I've been wondering when it's going to stop raining and watching these seasons go by, going to work and doing what we all do and coming home. At one period, you're going to figure out that's what homeownership is about. You can be the best renter in the world. You can never turn in maintenance receipts. You can never do any of that. I guarantee you right now, your landlord is not going to come and sit down and tell you, the equity in my house has gone up $100,000 and you've been such a great tenant. I've gone ahead and taken a cash out mortgage at my expense so that I can give you $50,000 because I think you're awesome.
Yeah.
If you have that landlord, please remember my number is 469
Exactly.
0048. Since you don't have that landlord, call that number so we can talk about how to get you into a home. And pretty soon you can be that landlord.
Absolutely. And that's part of what the Housing Summit is going to do is talk about some of those things we do after, like saving up and putting warranties or something down so that you have that. Because the same thing happens now. If something happens, I call the handyman, right? To come do the things. I've called them pretty much the same person might do both me and the apartment. The difference is did I save up for that to be able to happen, or did I pay the landlord, an extra amount of money so that could happen?
Right.
And so either way, save it for yourself because, like you said, sometimes you might not need it or you might not use it. So we've been taking a whole bunch of time and going through some really cool stuff. We're definitely going to have this conversation again. One more time, let them know how to get a hold of you, what exactly what you can do, and then maybe just give us some final closing thoughts that we could have that you would be somebody who needs to call you and why they need to call you.
Well, definitely. Again, in closing, I appreciate your time and I really appreciate you doing this. This is well needed and the community needs as much knowledge that we can share with them. As you know, I'm a very high-tech guy and I've got some new software we're going to introduce that will show you my contact information as you see it slowly.
I love it.
So you can certainly email me, stephen.tillman@supremelending.com, or call me 469-853-0048. For you really, really tech-savvy people, you could scan this and that would give you all of the information. So I'll get that in. So other than that, my closing points really are, don't let anybody discourage you. Get started because it doesn't matter where you start. Anybody that you come in contact with at this Black Wealth Summit is more than willing and happy and able to help you. So don't be ashamed. At the beginning of this, I told my story of why I got into doing mortgages. And it was because somebody was so disrespectful to me, they didn't even think I deserved a call back. Well, luckily, there are none of those lenders that will be at this Black Wealth Summit. So it doesn't matter where you start. We've been there. We have been there personally, and we have gone through this process by ourselves, with our family members, and hundreds of times with our customers. So the basic thing that I would tell you is get started. Do not discourage yourself and move forward. Even if the answer right now, I don't tell my clients no, but sometimes the answer is not right now because we have some things that we need to do. Maybe we need to work on credit first. As I told you, the lady that's closing today at 3:00, we've been working together for 8 months. And she started at a credit score where we weren't able to qualify her. Now she's moving into a beautiful $500,000 house with $40,000 worth of equity sitting in it right now. That $40,000 is enough to pay for her child's college tuition. And it's only going to continue growing. So she is going to use this house not only for protection and joy and peace and having a great time and throwing parties, it's also going to fund her child's college tuition. It's going to fund her retirement. It's going to provide a lot of things that are beneficial that I want for you. So don't tell yourself no. Tell yourself yes. Come to the Home Buyer Summit. Talk to us. And don't be discouraged. Be intentional.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being on, Stephen. I appreciate you taking the time, sharing your knowledge. I hope that people give you a call to work through this because the reality is they are building apartment after apartment after apartment in this city. because they're hoping, the landlords there and are hoping that you're going to spend your time and your money there.
That's
We're
right.
doing the opposite. We're hoping you're going to spend your time and money in your own home. Now, because I know you can do this, you deserve this. Home ownership is for you. And I would say, just let us help you. So you guys have a great day. I will see you at the summit. And continue to watch these podcasts, because I hope they're going to be educational in every aspect of what you're trying to do as you go down this journey of home ownership and starting your generational wealth path and your personal wealth path. So you guys have a wonderful, awesome, awestruck day today, and we will talk with you soon.
All righty.
Well, thank you for tuning into our podcast today. It has been a fantastic opportunity for us to show you exactly what we're trying to do in the community. And that is to help people to make sure that they have the ability to realize home ownership. And so my name is Brian Arnold. I am a lender. I'm with City First Financial. And so if you have questions, I'm not doing this podcast so that we can, rush all the business over to City First Financial. I'm doing this podcast so that we can make sure that you are taken care of, that you have a real estate agent, that you have a loan officer, that you have a credit repair person, that you have an insurance person, that you have a financial advisor, all working with you towards making your home ownership realization happen. We're also going to be talking about, wealth generation and what it means to pass on to the next generation. I do trust and wills and making sure that the money that you've accumulated during your lifetime actually passes on to the next generation without going through a thing called probate. And so we want to make sure that we have some unique different things that we may have talked about on this thing that can help you think about what that's going to look like. So thank you again for communicating. Go ahead and subscribe to these YouTube channels, whether it's on YouTube that you're watching the video, or if you are just listening to this on a podcast, that you are subscribing to the podcast, because we are going to have some amazing guests that are coming on and some amazing content. So thank you for the blackwealthexperience.org and getting on that and just coming in and listening to us and then taking advantage of the resources that we're hopefully and education that we're hopefully giving to you. So you have a wonderful, awesome, incredible, awestruck day. You are God's greatest gift, and I want to make sure that you know that. Talk with you guys soon.